Wow, it's so great to have so many people here tonight. It's the last, thank you so much for joining us for the very last event of the fall 2019 season here at the ICA at NYU Shanghai. This is the talk with Zairong, who will be in conversation with our very own Francesca Tarocco. For a talk entitled Strange Nature, or the Flourishing of 10,000 Things, which is an event related to our current inaugural fall 2019 exhibition, Goldenrod by the artist Zheng Bo. Goldenrod and its related events are presented as the first season of our also first artistic research program called The Invisible Garden, which inquires into the garden as a method that shapes our understanding of nature and our relationships to others. That's with the capital N and capital O. For 4 seasons, from fall 2019 until spring 2021, we will be presenting artists, thinkers, and practitioners through exhibitions, events, and publications. Consider the garden and ask how one can capture nature. Now I'd like to introduce tonight's guest. Zairong is now the assistant professor of comparative literature at Flourishing University and also the associate director of art. He's also Will be. Excuse me. He's also a fellow of the DFG RTG minor cosmopolitanism at Potsdam University. He's also the author of Queer Ancient Ways, a Decolonial Exploration, which was published last year on Pumpkin Books. And his research intersects feminisms and queer theories, literary and visual studies, philosophical and religious inquiries in their decolonial variants in Spanish, English, Chinese, French, and now Thai. The talk is followed by a conversation with our own Francesca Tarocco, who is a scholar of Chinese Buddhism with media and visual culture studies, as well as an associate professor at Pakistani University of Venice. Of course, before we begin, I want to thank our ICA team, Iris Chu and Zheng Bo, as well as Yang Chen, who could not be here tonight and graciously introduced us to Zairong's work. And of course, we all wish to work to thank our guests, Zairong and Francesca, as well as the work of Athena, our interpreter, for sharing their time, energy, and knowledge. Please join me in welcoming Zairong.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank everyone for coming. Also, thank Iris, Francesca team, and also you will see our amazing translator, Zina, for doing this impossible job.
那么，首先感谢米少刚才的介绍，然后呢，也非常谢谢所有团队的努力，然后也感谢各位听众来到这种题的演讲。
I call it strange nature. Strange is a weak rendering of the Chinese 奇怪或奇特, which is an imperfect translation of queer nature, which is further inspired by indeed strange expression in Chinese, 古怪. Quite unexpectedly, I found a way of translating the title of my first book, Queer Ancient Ways, as 古怪之道, without producing too much estrangement or feeling of imposition of an allegedly foreign and even Western, so-called Western concept, queer, into the Chinese lexicon. What is strange and queer must be old tension.
那么我们把它称之为奇怪的，中文就是奇怪，奇怪英文 strange。那翻成奇怪呢，我觉得是一个有欠妥当的翻译。那我把我的书翻译成古怪之道，其实让我挺意外的，因为用古怪之道来翻译所谓的外来的或者西方queer奇怪这样的概念，翻译出来之后并没有给人疏离感或者很勉强的感觉。奇怪，奇怪本身，奇怪的东西，它就是成就和得到的。
Unlike both the anti-queer or queer take on nature, that thing with its adjectival variations, being natural woman, natural sex, has been invoked conveniently from layperson to doctors, politicians, to religious conservatives as a proof and justification of the death sentence for queers, and therefore resisted by queers. I want to, so contrary to that, I want to join in forces from ancient, indeed queerly ancient sources, so 古怪, insist stubbornly that nature and queerness stand together. Nature is immensely bizarre, queer in its bare meaning.
那么，不同于这个反古怪或者是古怪对于自然的观点，物体及其形容词变体，比如说我们会说自然的、自然的性、自然的性爱，已经被大众医生、政客以及宗教的保守主义者方便的引用，以此作为证明和理由，给这个古怪给酷儿判死刑，因此又遭到了这个酷儿的抵制。我想借由古代但却是古怪的这个古老的词源，就是古怪这一个词，那么我还是想要顽固的坚持自然与古怪与酷儿是站在一起的，因为大自然本身光怪陆离，本身也是古怪的。
Queer ancient ways, so I'm referring to this thing. Has nothing to do with the talk, but just a nice one. Queer ancient ways, the English title, however, was also partially translated rendering from Chinese. Ways is a translation from Dao. Dao is governed by a strange nature, 道法自然, but enables the flourishing of the things.
这里也提到了古怪之道，就是我这本书在这里顺便做一个广告。那么这本书的名字《古怪之道》也是有一部分这个翻译从这个“道”这个词这里翻译过来，就是我们所说的道法自然，以及这个道令万物繁荣。
So now you have the full title of the talk, Strange Nature, or the Flourishing of 10,000 Things. Maybe I can end the talk here.
现在大家已经听我解释完了什么叫做奇怪的自然，那我的讲座就到此结束了。
No, it's not just started.
没有，我才刚开始。
The 10,000 Things, or 万物, is a Chinese expression that points to all existence, all creature beings. 道德经 has it. 道生一，一生二，二生三，三生万物。道 generates one, one generates two, two generates three, and three generates 10,000 things.
那么我们都知道，万物这样的一个中文的概念，其实就是指所有存在的东西，万物苍生。比如《道德经》所说“道生一，一生二，二生三，三生万物”。
生 names the verb of generativity or flourishing, but it is not sure if 道生一 is simply the equivalent of, in English, 道 give birth to, produces, generate one. It would well be, and the classical Chinese grammar allows for that, Dao is produced in one or by one, is generated within one, and so on and so forth. The seemingly linear causality from Dao to 10,000 things can be easily and philosophically reversed legitimately as the 10,000 creature beings generates the Dao.
我们看到“生”这个词，它其实就是一个动词，它代表产生或者是繁荣。但是不能肯定“道生”这样一个说法在英文当中被翻译成“道生产一，产生”。但是，是不是还有另外一种，其实在古汉语语法上也说得通的解释，就是“道由一生”，道在一当中产生，以此类推。所以说，从道到万物这样一种看似线性的因果关系，很容易的在哲学上可以进行逆转，就变成了因万物苍生而生而有的道。
But this numerology is not the first chapter of Taoism, but the 42nd of a book that lasts for 81, at least the version I have nowadays. So more or less in the middle. It is not a straight line, that's why it's middle.
那么这样一种道和万物的数字化的关系，它并不是在《道德经》的同一个篇章出现的，而是在第42个章节。那现有的《道德经》呢，一共有81个章节，也就是说这一句话是在这个《道德经》中间出现的，所以说它并不是指代一个线性的逻辑关系，无中生有。
Now, the open line of Tao Te Ching speaks of Taos. The Tao that can be spoken or the Tao that can be Taoed is not the constant Tao. The name that can be named is not a constant name. Tao is that which is mystery of mystery, or darkness upon darkness, the gate to all that is subtle and wonderful.
也就是现在《道德经》它的开篇，它是这样说道的：道可道，非常道；名可名，非常名。玄之又玄，众妙之美。
So just a footnote, the word 玄 in Chinese can mean both darkness and mystery.
就是这个玄这个字，中文字在英文当中，它又可以翻译成黑暗 darkness， 也可以指这个秘 mystery。
Tao, that which enables a day, is enabled by the 10 other things, is knowable and unknowable, speakable and unspeakable. But that we may know, gives a succinct non-definition of queerness, as opposed to the identities contained in acronyms of increasing length. Queerness posits only a horizon of its own impossibility. The much forgotten theory of queer non-identitarian or disidentificatory auto-negation resonating strongly with the ancient Tao appears cautionary in an age of ever-increasing certainties of identities, queer or otherwise, which manifest in some sort of order regimes of all kind.
道复能万物，那么也由万物所复能。道是未知，亦是已知的，可道也不可道。Mediaeval Menon 他其实就提出了一个比较简洁的对酷儿的非定义内容。他是这样说的：与不断增加的缩写字母所包含的身份相反，酷儿仅提出了自身不可能性的一种试点。早被遗忘的酷儿的非身份性或者意义性自动否定，与古代的道产生了强烈的共鸣。在一个身份酷儿等日渐确定的时代，就变得更为谨慎，这会在各种更为宽泛的正题中，显现出来。
道玄之又玄 is dark and mysterious.
道玄之又玄。
To give nature its rightful queer position back through the multi-hued exuberance of the knowable, unknowable assembly of all existence, let us go to a space where bodily encounter and porous entanglement, rather than identitarian dispute, are the constant, the dark room. The dark room can be a hidden corner of a city park, indeed a sort of invisible garden, or an unlit room, literally called dark room, nightclubs. This can also be served as a sort of dark room. But it also points to something large. This space of erotic encounter immersed in anonymity and cosmic promiscuity pretends to the universal queerness of desire, but also, more importantly, kind of ethical care.
通过一切已知未知存在的丰富多彩，让自然重获其听懂的古怪的脉动。当我们去到这样一个空间当中，身体的相遇和多孔的纠缠才是常态，而非身份主义的一些纷争，也就是小黑屋。小黑屋呢，可以是城市公园一个隐蔽的角落，某种隐形的花园，也可以是夜总会里一个没有灯的包间。比如说像旁边这样的一个地方，就是我们说是小黑屋。但它也同时指向了一个巨大的空间，这种沉浸在这种匿名性、宇宙淫乱之中的形色接触的空间，不仅与普遍存在的欲望的古怪性有关，而且更重要的是道德光环。
So close your eyes, pretend that is total darkness.
假设我们现在是绝对的黑暗。
It could be intimidating if it is the first time that you are here in a foreign language. It could be exciting if it is the first time you are here in the land of promiscuity. completely anonymous, completely invisible, completely, no, not completely free. We're too familiar with the bright light that renders everything visible, at least everything we can and care to see. The sudden loss of vision throws us back into primordial time, before fiat lux, before languaging, before senses, before the before after fiat lux, before after that before. Darkness compresses time and space into too much and too few, the trop blanc and le vide.
如果你是第一次来到这里，在一个外语的环境下，你可能感觉到很害怕。那如果这是你的第一次，你也许会感觉很兴奋。我们在一个淫乱之地上，它是完全秘密、完全隐形，以及完全它并不是完全自由，因为我们对光明太熟悉了。光明让一切事物可见，至少是我们希望、我们在意的那些事物可见。突然的视力丧失，会使我们回到原始时代，回到上帝说要有光之前，回到语言之前、感官之前、之前的之前，回到上帝说要有光之后的之前，那之前之后的之前。黑暗将时空压缩成太多、太少的东西，就是溢出的空虚。
Darkness is particularly dear to queers. The cruising night from the end of Christopher Street under the cover of a protective darkness, as written by José Muñoz, via 7-Eleven, to that of the luxurious evening gardens of Santiago de Chile, as written by Leonard Bell, and of course the East Palace, West Palace in Beijing's night, by Wang Xiaobo and Zhang Yuan. The cosmic primordiality and our promiscuity are invoked again and again in different accounts of sexual encounters between men, always in darkness, yet perfectly discernible.
黑暗对于库尔来说尤为的珍贵。从穆瑙斯的那首诗当中，克里斯 Christopher 借镜头清显有了黑暗护我做掩护，再到 Rambo 甜美芬芳花园夜之地的圣地亚哥，再到王小波张元的电影《东宫西宫》当中的北京之夜，宇宙的原始性和我们的淫乱，在人类性接触的不同的故事当中被一而再的提及，总在黑暗当中，但是却完全可以辨别。
If queer points to the uncategorizable, the hidden, the unclaimable, the one that escapes identification, the strange, the one that is not one, queer is infinitely linked to darkness, visual and epistemic darkness. It resists the is of queer, the impulse to categorize, and drawing borders, 玄之又玄, mysterious and dark, 众妙之门. The door to wonders, to all wonders, an open door, an orifice.
如果库尔指向的是不可被归类的、隐藏的、无人认同的、逃避生活的那一个、陌生的、不是一的那一个，则库尔与黑暗无限的联系在了一起。这是一种视觉和认知的黑暗，它抵抗的是库尔的那个视。那份欲要将其分类、划清边界的冲动，就是我们说的玄之又玄、众妙之门。这是一扇敞开的门，一扇有孔的门。
Queer's worst nightmare has already begun at the moment when queer become a recognizable category, losing its signified strange under bright sunlight of out and proud, and gets fixed in the library as just another page section of the disciplinary division of labor, or in self-identification as that which cannot be questioned. Darkness as queer's intrinsic ally belies canonization and fixity. Queer identity, in a way, is anti-queer.
当库尔成为一种可识别的类目时，其最可怕的噩梦已经开始，因为这说明库尔丧失了其标志性的这个古怪，在光明下要骄傲的出柜。 并且在图书馆中都成为某个学科固定的章节当中的一页，或者是在自我身份认同当中的一之一。黑暗是酷儿的固有盟友，掩盖了其经典性和不同性。酷儿身份本身就是反酷儿的。
The dark room renders the primacy of visual impotent. It confuses in mid-air the straight line of past, present, future. It is the pregnant moment, full of potentiality. The dark room is where desire erupts in unspectacular yet spectacular ways. At the moment of dreaming this identification, desire reclaims its prowess, insisting on its blindness, that which stubbornly traverses social categorizations based on the lines and lines of race, gender, age, class, ableness, you name it. This blind stubbornness moves in synchronicity with the cosmic dimension of God.
小黑屋它呈现了视觉多头的优势，它在空中混淆了过去、现在、未来的直线。这是个孕育的时刻，它充满着潜力。小黑屋是欲望以不引人注目，但是却又非常壮观的形式爆发出来的地方。在梦想般的身份迷失、身份认同之际，欲望重获力量，坚持其盲目性，及顽固的很专于基于种族、性别、年龄、阶级、能力线和谎言的领受美之间，这种盲目的固执与小黑屋的宇宙维度同步移动。
The cosmic darkness and dark room is therefore a place of convergence, neither a starting point nor an afterthought, but an original status where differences and multiplicity are invisible, non-existent, yet already woven, entangled, and exuberantly present. The intermingling of the oppositional complementary propensities, instead of producing annihilation, gives rise to a status of stability that resembles a temporal erasure of differences, while retaining constant propensities for differentiations. Their mingling initiates, substantiates, and is instantiated by the tensile things. It is all-encompassing capacity. Cosmic darkness demands its participants a radical affinity, enabling through not a metaphysics, but a physics of relation.
因此，宇宙黑暗，这个小黑屋，它是一个汇聚点，它既不是起点，也不是事后的想法，而是一种原始的状态。在这种状态下，差异和多种性是隐形的，不存在，但又已经编织、纠缠且旺盛存在。对立互补相继的彼此混合，不是产生湮灭，而是产生一种稳定的状态，类似于暂时消除差异，同时保留恒定的差异倾向。它们的融合引发实体化万物，并以万物为依据。在这种包罗万象能力当中，宇宙黑暗要求其参与者具有全然的吸引力，不是通过形而上学实现的，而是通过关系物理学来实现。
A quote from Catherine Keller: "Difference then appears to take place non-separately. Non-separability, a synonym for entanglement in quantum physics, obtains no matter how alien the alterities, how quickly they shift to alienation or altercation." What is therefore transcended in the dark room, thought as strange nature, is the very impossibility of the concept of other. Judith Butler calls it our shared vulnerability. And now, Catherine Keller, it is this non-separability of difference that renders injustice intolerable. In light of strange nature, the shared vulnerability is manifestly what I would call our shared porosity.
Catherine Keller 他说过，差异似乎不可分割的发生，无论改变有多陌生， 异化或者变化发生的变换。不可分性，这也是量子物理学当中纠缠的一个词，不可分性都可以实现。因此Judith Butler 他也说，作为古怪的自然、奇怪的自然，小黑屋思想所超越的正是其他贪污这一概念的不可能性。Judith Butler 称它为我们共同的脆弱性。Catherine Kelly 也说，正是这种差异的不可分性，让不正义的事物变得无法容忍。从奇怪的自然这一角度出发，共同脆弱性显然就是我们称之为共同的多孔性。
The porous body is a key, or in fact, a hole to understand the fundamental relationship between cosmic vitality and sexual vitality. The whole lies at the center of the concept of privation, which points to an understanding of the cosmos and a vitalistic ecological framework that crosses the boundary between the human and non-human worlds. 10,000 things encompassing all existence, human, non-human, inert, alive. Tao is everywhere, even in shit peace.
多孔的身体是理解宇宙生命力和新生命力之间的基本关系，它是一个关键，它也是一个出孔。孔是空概念的这个中心，它指向一种充满活力，在生态框架之中对宇宙的理解，并且跨越人类世界与非人类世界之间所有界限。万物涵盖了一切存在，不管是人类、非人类、没有生命的，还是有生命的，道无所不在。庄子也说，在始里，在始的量之中。
The human body in traditional Chinese medicine is known through its 9 orifices, which 5 inner organs, or actually depots, are believed to connect porously to. The verb is 开窍. In the Yellow Emperor's inner canon, simple questions continue to Su Wen, chapter 4, 金魁真言, the true words from the golden closet, records Qi the arrogant doctor's answer to the Yellow Emperor's Huangdi's question. The 5 depots correspond to the 4 seasons. Do all of them have something specific that they collect and receive? Qi's explanation revolves around a seasonal correspondences between 5 inner organs that explains the connectivity and correspondence between these inner organs and the 9 bodily orifices.
我们在中医当中说，人体有9窍，其中5个窍是我们的5个内脏器官在我们身体上开的窍。在《黄帝内经·素问》当中有这样的章节《金匮真言》。金匮真言这一章当中，皇帝就问名医岐伯，问他说：“五脏应四史各有说一孔。”然后岐伯就皇帝的这个提问呢，就围绕5个内部器官之间的季节性对应关系做了一个解释，就是这5个内部器官和身体9个孔之间以及季节之间彼此的一个通信关系。
The correspondence in the cardinal point north is of particular interest. He states the north, black color, it communicates with the kidney function. The kidney function opens its orifice in the 2 yin sides, that is, the outlets for urine and stool, genitalia and anus.
其中呢，对于这个正北方的一段解释的话，就是显得比较重要。原文是这样说的：北方黑色，入通于肾，开窍于2阴，藏精于肾，故病在喜。
The inner outer connectivity is illustrated using the hexagram of the Yi. We observe that the upper trigram, the upper trigram made of 3 open and thus yin lines, representing 6 orifices, that is, 3 pairs of orifices of the body, namely the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, whereas the lower trigram consisted of three young whole lines representing three single orifices of the body: the mouth, the genitalia, and the anus. The filtering between these two cosmic lines of yin yang is called the Ren the middle point of the human body.
那么这个身体内外的关联性，进一步的在太卦易经当中的太卦得到了一个解读。大家现在幻天看到的这个太卦，我们就发现这个卦的上卦是由3个阴爻组成。那这个它代表着我们身体的6个窍，也就是成对的3对窍，分别是我们的双眼、2个鼻孔以及双耳。而它的这个卦的下半部分是由3个阳爻组成的一个卦，然后它代表着我们身体另外的3个窍，我们的嘴、生殖器和肛门。而在这2卦当中呢，就是分隔阴阳的，也就是人中。
In Shanju Xinyu, it illustrates, it's one of the quotation, it illustrates this middle point.
山中西语也对人中的这一部分做一个进一步的解读。
That is to say, the human body is made sense of through its 9 child orifices. Penis is considered to be one of them, undifferentiated from the vagina. And atomically speaking, the penis does contain a hollow space. Considering the urethra, the penis is an orifice. 玄平之门是为天地根 The gate of the dark and mysterious vagina is the so-called root or penis of heaven and earth.
也就是说，我们通过身体的这9个窍来更好的理解身体。其实阴茎本身呢，也就是其中的一个窍，它跟阴道没有什么区别，因为我们从解剖学上来讲，阴茎它本身就是一个中空的结构，因为它有尿道，所以说阴茎本身它就是一个窍。我们说血性之门是为天地之根。
So this is a kind of unexpected finding. I was talking to Zheng Bo on WeChat, and he told me when he came here, he said that thing, that entrance, is that word. He said, "Is that word in Taoism that means vagina? Is that Xuan Ping?" I said, "Yeah, maybe." And then I suspected this goldenrod has something to do with this the rod bit, right? And it was confirmed just now by Michelle that there is a pump here. And then in Dao De Jing, I think this is, now I forgot which chapter, it's 24 maybe. It's a 全凭之门是为天地根. So the door to or the door that is the mysterious female animal. This is sometimes translated, 全凭 is translated as female animal, but it's in archaic, it's an archaic word for vagina. 是为天地。
其实这句话的发现也是挺意外的，因为我刚到这时候，这个郑波他就在这边，然后他就问我这个入口，就这个玄体是不是指女性的，就是《道德经》当中这个词玄体是不是指女性生殖器的意思？我当时就觉得好像是，然后后来也知道这个Goldenrod的这个名字也是有一语双关之意，也是取别有意思。然后后来我就回去翻查了一下《道德经》，发现应该是在24章节。道德经当中就是有说这个玄牝之门是为天地之根，就是有时候玄牝被翻译成雌性动物的生殖器，就是挺意外的这个发现。
So the human body in its so-called healthy status, as illustrated by Zairong Xiang, at least in its TCM integration, has little to do with the able-bodiedness, masculine, phallic, colonialist imagery. It's extremely fragile, perversely penetrable, and almost indiscernible within the vocabulary of light and visibility.
那至少在中医当中，所谓的这样的一个健康状态及人体的健康状态，就是为太卦所表示出来这个 个样子。它其实和我们的阳物崇拜直立主义意象下的那种阳刚、充满肌肉的身体有什么关系？其实是极为脆弱，而且非常通透，到处都可以察觉的。那么在这个阳光和可见性之下，就不可思议。
The body is also an expression of the mystery of the cosmos. One figure state stands out quite prominently, the proton, or any hollow space. Getting to that proton we have here. The word play between proton, dong, and permeability or permeation, tong, hints at a cosmology based on porosity and emptiness. Hong, dong, dong, hong. The body, the mountain, the heaven all share some evocative emptiness, I quote from James Miller, which is what brings together these three dimensions of the cosmos, profound relationship. The overriding of cosmic and sexual, heavenly and earthly patterns of engagement in a fluid discourse suggests that both human sexuality and cosmic vitality are transacted within an overall ecology of cosmic power, namely the flourishing of the Tao. The flourishing of great prosperity is expressed in the I Ching, the unchangeable script of changes through hexagram time. So time is the Tong Tai, is the most stable status.
身体也是宇宙之力的一种表达。那么其中就有一个非常突出的，就是我们讲的光图时空，或者是任何的空心的这样一个空间，就提到我们这里这样的一个时空这样一个装置。那它其实这个时空代表着动，它与通透性，就是通之间的文字游戏，暗示着基于空气和空的这样一个动空。然后同时呢，身体、山和天共同有着相同的这个空，局部的空，就是 Shakespeare 说的，正是这种空使宇宙的这三个维度以一种非常深远的关系走到了一起。他也还说，流动的话语重写宇宙性天地的规律和交互，表明了人类的性和宇宙的生命力都是在宇宙力量的整体生态系统当中进行的。这也是一种道的繁荣，也就是易经当中表达的这个太卦，用太卦代表是一种道的繁荣，这太卦代表着通，代表着繁荣和稳定。
So that quotation is actually chapter 6. Like all the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, hexagram time consists of two trigrams that are three combinations of two lines. The open yin lines and the full yang lines. Hexagram time of the great stability has all yin upper trigram and all yang lower trigram. As yin has the propensity to descend and yang to transcend, time, the hexagram of the great stability, is understood here as a dynamic intermingling of these two fundamental propensities of the cosmos. The accompanying commentary on the judgment reads, Heaven and earth interact perfectly, and the 10,000 things communicate without obstacle. Those above and those below interact perfectly, and their will becomes one.
那么像易经当中，我们有64卦，那跟64卦一样，太卦也由上下两卦组成。那每一卦呢，又由阴阳爻自由组成。太卦它预示着极大的安定，上卦全是阴爻，下卦全是阳爻。我们说阴降阳升，所以说在太卦这个卦象里面，它象征着稳定，而且可以理解成是宇宙两个基本象级的动态交融，就是我们所说的天地交而万物通也，上下交而其志同也。
In hexagram time, Kun, the all-in trigram that expresses the earth, is situated above Qian, the all-yang trigram that expresses heaven. That is to say, the conventionally masculinized Qian sky is situated upside down, below the feminized Kun earth. Furthermore, as if in order to prevent the heteronormativization of the reproductive flourishing, which which some misplaced celebration in cosmopolitan queer antisocial thesis would deem immediately unqueer. The I Ching has an hexagram that arguably is the opposite of hexagram Tang. This is hexagram P, where the natural order, so-called natural order, is followed. Yang is above yin, heaven above earth, and masculinity above femininity. P is stagnation, obstruction, or negation. In a nutshell, the missionary style, together with its colonialist and heteronormative order of things, is ascribed as early as in the Zheng dynasty with negativity, an obstacle to the flourishing and prosperity of the world.
而在太卦当中，坤卦也就是说全部由阴爻组成的这个卦代表着地，但是呢，它是在上，而乾卦全部由阳爻组成代表天的这一卦却在下。那这也就是说，我们传统意义上的代表着男权的天代表着男权的天就是乾这一卦在下，而代表着女性地坤这一卦在上。与此同时呢，好像是要去阻止这样的一个异性恋正统主义升值的繁荣。那么，在有一些世界性的过而反社会论文当中，有一些误解的再男性观点，可能马上就会认为这是反过而的。在易经当中，还有这一卦，可以说算得上是太卦的一个对立面，这就是否卦。那么否卦它就延续了所谓的一个自然的次序：阳上阴下，天上地下，阳刚在上，阴柔在下。那否这一卦它寓意着阻滞、阻碍或者是否定。简言之，就是一种传教士的体位，以及传教士体位它带有这种殖民主义、异性恋正统主义这样的一种次序，早在中国的周朝赋予了，它带有一种消极否定的意味，它其实就是象征着对于世界繁荣昌盛的一种障碍。
In an age of profound entanglement that global capitalism has at least claimed to have entangled everything into one single system, the familiar, there is nothing outside of post-colonial capitalist modernity. Even the apathetic version of the pervasive entanglement through darkness and porosity still needs a good dose of doubt. Lao Tzu said, I don't know what it is, this mystery of mystery. Therefore I call it Tao, the unsayable, undouable, unknowable side of things, even if it forms part of the cosmic dark room, where non-exclusion is possible, remains an important sign of resistance that is not possible to be co-opted.
在一个深刻纠缠的时代，全球资本主义至少是声称将所有的事物都纠缠在一个单一的体系当中。就是我们熟悉的，没有东西存在于后殖民资本主义现代性之外，这是通过黑暗和多孔性的普遍纠缠否定版值得怀疑。老子说：“我不知道这个是什么样的力，但我将它称为道。事物不可说、不可道、不可知的一面，尽管也是宇宙小合一的构成部分，但是呢，都令无法排除成为可能性，但仍然是无法调和。”
I think I will stop here. There's some part after this that goes to a different direction, but I will just talk through it. So this is quite Mayor, the statue that features on the cover of the book. I'm not going to talk about her incident, but a very interesting side of this statue that is this I don't even know how to call it, like the lower side. Surprisingly, we find a carving. It's not this one. This is a different reiteration of the same deity called Latekuti. the Lord of the Earth, or the deity of the Earth, which has a different representation or motif, feminine, masculine, zoomorphic, and in the shape of the deity of the rain. So this guy is everything. But in the National Anthropology Museum in Mexico City, this gigantic statue of Guadalupe is put there without us having any visual direct access to Tlatecuhtli. What we can see is only a replica, like a form of translation next to it. With these words, actually, I started this what you heard, this kind of thinking on where we can draw the limit of like basically the imperialist hand, where they can touch. There is some limit of knowing, and that's where I end the book. So Tlatecuhtli continues to speak to different space time that is forever close to us.
首先，可能偏回到上一个那么，在这里我的这个演讲可能就要去到另外一个方向了。那这个雕像，这个石像，它其实是一个叫做克亚克顶库这样的一个石像。那我想，我不想花太多细节讲这个石像的细节，但是这个石像的下方，就是这个底座的下方，还有另外的一座神。那这个神就是叫做克拉尔泰库特利，它是一个地神。它其实在这个他们的神话当中以各种各样的形式出现过，以女性、男性、兽性，甚至是以这个女神的形式都出现过。那现在这样的一个雕像被这个馆藏于这个墨西哥城的这个国家人类学博物馆。我想讲的这样的意思是，他们博物馆在展示这一件雕塑的时候，它已经直接把这个石像放在那儿了。你放在那儿，你基本上看不见它石像底座上雕刻的这个帝王神像。它其实就也很有意思。可能偏到下一个。但是呢，这个就是那个帝王不是说它底座就长这样，这是一个帝王的另外的一个这个形态。但是在那个墨西哥的那个人类学博物馆中，它通过这样的一个方式，它在那个克亚克里库石像旁边放了一个，它首先是一个复刻品，然后旁边又放了一个地神的这样的一个雕塑，也算是对这样的一个寓意的一种翻译形式吧。然后我也是用这样的故事作为我这个著作我书的一个结尾，想讲出我们总是有一些界限，所谓的帝王主义之手，他总有自己到不了的地方，他总有自己没有办法去获得指示。那么直到现在，在现代这个社会，克亚克里库这样的一座雕塑在墨西哥人类学博物馆当中那样放着，它的底座不被我们所看见，它仍然是在说我们总是会有一些局限，我们总是会有一些去不了的地方。谢谢。
Thank you. This was very intriguing and fascinating. I'm totally sympathetic with your strategy, of course. I remember as a sinologist myself, years ago, I thought, wow, this is explosive, right? Everyone wants to hear without magicians. These are very important terms, and I want to know a little bit more about the ones you choose, the myriad things. Where do we go? Are we looking for a broader lexicon? What is your method? I guess my question is, what is your method? Do you start with the text? Do you start with hear clearly, what is your proposal says.
那非常精彩的发言。那我本身年轻的时候作为汉学家，我也研究了非常多相关的术语，比如听到""这些词，当时都是非常热的一些研究的方向。那我也想知道更多，因为这些您在讲座当中有非常多的术语，我想知道更多。您选择万物这样的一个切入点，我们的就您的方向是怎么样，或者说方法论是怎么样的？你是从文字着眼出发，还是从这个库尔理论着眼出发？方法论是什么？
Thank you. So first of all, this is to clarify both the book that deals with Nawa and Babylonian mythology and the current project dealing with Taoism. I consciously refuse to queer them. So the claim is that they are already queer, and everything is already queer. Now, this comes to the method. Of course, if we go to read, for example, any kind of contemporary modern annotation of Tao Te Ching, we get only one version, which is a heteronormative, missionary style almost kind of interpretation, despite what this text could potentially tell us otherwise. So the claim is a weak claim. I'm not saying that they are all kind of promiscuous, sex partners in darkroom, but there's a possibility that this can be read in this text without me doing this kind of almost colonizing gesture of to queer those texts. This is both.
那么首先我想讲的一点就是要做一下澄清，我的这个书呢，它其实是沿用了这个巴比伦神话，用巴比伦神话的方式来进行研究，但是我非常有意识的不要去给它定性为是库尔，就是不给它定性为是库尔，因为现在有太多这样那样关于库尔理论或者方法论等等。方法论本身我也想讲的，首先我们现在能找到的《道德经》或者道德经》《易经》很多的版本，它其实非常的单一。 它都是一种异性恋的正统主义或者传教士形象延续下来这样的一种对《道德经》或者是《易经》的解读。其实我们可以问这些原文它本身有没有办法给我们其他的解读？如果我们一定要去给它加一个标签，这个标签本身可能是非常脆弱的。它也许它可以告诉我们一些非常淫乱啊，或者是跟性相关的一些内容，或者说我们可以用这样的方式给它一个指引性的这样的一个形象。 但是我不想去做这样的一个标签。第一。
Yeah, I'm sure you're aware of recent research on, for example, aphrodisiac methods. There's a lot of work on Chinese medicine. We know that many of these people were in fact researchers, like themselves. They were practitioners in the very strict sense of the word. Yeah, of course, 19th century science then obscure, as you said. But we also have to know that a lot of that stuff is also gendered. It's not that it is not the text itself very specific, as much as we know that either, but it is there. Many of the recipes are really gendered. So, and this is the same, roughly the same period we were talking about. Is the 4th century of the Common Era. So I guess what we can do is propose a multiplicity of voices. That would also be, I guess, a clear method that we can do rather than just have one sort of text. We could have a plethora of text, together with the sort of stuff that we want to read.
同时我也知道您非常了解，最近有非常多的研究是跟这个中医有关，涉及到中医的一些方法论。那同时有很多这个研究人员本身，他也就是中医的这个实业者，就是在19世纪涌现了关于中医的一些研究。但是我们必须看到，我们研究的时候所去引用的这些语料或者这些素材本身就是被性别化的，就这些文字，就算我们不想它被性别化，它也是被性别化的，尤其是3、4纪以来的一些文本。也许我们应对这样的一种结局的方式，就是可以让不同的声音都进行发声。那这本身就是一种库尔的方法论，也就是说，比起单一的文本，我们可以去寻找更多的文本， 用共同的文本来进行我们的这个研究。
It's very interesting, those who research on Afroasiatic method, who are very close to these materials, they end up producing a kind of very, on a different level, they end up producing the same old story, right? And so, just an example, this Klavikud, in Nahuatl, the indigenous language of the pre-conquest Mexico, Tlatecuhtli literally means Lord of the Earth. There's no doubt. It's like you know a little bit of Nahuatl. Tlali means Earth, and Tecuhtli means Lord. But then that's a very nice one. And then you get all the research, curatorial text calling Tlatecuhtli Diosa de la Tierra, the goddess of the earth. The idea that the earth can only be this Mother Earth, is so strong that the facts, the linguistic facts, are evoked and then forgotten, sometimes in one paragraph. So which is to say, the heteronormativity as an ideology is so strong that it sometimes repeats us, like scholars, right, or anyone interested in these cultures, from seeing other possibilities that are there. So I agree. We need to look for more voices, but we need to create. But my method is more.
People like me and no, I don't think you can say that they are looking for something that is not there. I mean, they're reading recipes and stuff, so it's not that. It's true, we are definitely conditioned, but I think, I wouldn't say that the discourse is built on reorganized. But anyway, we don't. Yeah, that's one. Which other terms? Just like
就是我就翻译一下刚才我们的对话和提问环节，就是关于这个，比如说壮阳的中医的这个研究方式方法，有的时候研究人员他可能本身就是中医的从业者，他可能会有一些局限，比如说就像我们提到的，他研究出来的东西可能又回到了之前的那个循环当中去，就像我这里写提到的男就是男，女就是女，比如说像我之前说的这个地神特拉泰库特利。那么在这纳瓦特语当中，它的名字特拉泰库利，它就是帝王的意思，就是大地之王 ，Lord of the Land， 大地之王的意思。但是我们会发现很多这个研究的这个资料当中，有的时候会把它生成大地之母，就变成一个女神了，一个女性化的这样的一个神了。有时候它甚至，而且这些观点之强烈，会甚至让我们遗忘语言本身所代表的意思，它其实帝王，它是一个男性的意义。所以说，有的时候这个一些正统主义这样的一个意识形态非常的强烈，它有时候会下意识就阻止了我们身处于这个文化当中的人去探索其他可能性的这样的一些线路。同意您刚才说的观点，我们要让各种各样的声音都展现出来，要发声。然后这个我们的主持人他也提到了，比如像Vivian Low这样的一些研究人员，他不是说一定要去找寻一个本来就不存在的东西，它也只能去基于现有的东西，比如说一些这个配方啊，或者是一些东西来进行它的研究。说我们的学者在做研究的时候，有时候是有一个前提条件的。
One interesting thing that we know about ancient is certainly one big difference between the Greek world and the Chinese world is that we're not talking about sex. That is definitely something that is described, pleasure, sex, sexuality, all of these sort of things are there. And I think so we could all dance with that, and you yourself can definitely dance with that in a number of ways. And I think that if we also look at some of these verbs that are outside the immediate classics, so to speak. Of course, the eating and the dancing showed us are incredibly interesting and incredibly fascinating for Western mind for a very long time, translated. But I think within the Chinese tradition, even if you go into medieval times and so on, there's a lot of other stuff that you can look at that way. And with that, I would say, what other terms you think useful to bring to the contemporary vocabulary, which is really something that.
那么我们都也知道，在这个远古的一些文化当中，不管是古希腊还是中国古代，我们有非常多关于性的一些这个反规范生殖的一些词汇。我们在做研究的时候，其实会让感到非常新奇，它也可以给我们研究提供非常多的这个比较的素材。你刚才演讲提到道德经，提到了易经，那么西方人对道德经、易经当中包含的哲学理念也非常感兴趣，我们也看到很多翻译成英文版本。那么我们在谈到中国的传统的时候，尤其是中世纪，就中国中世纪一些传统的时候，您如何在进行当代词汇研究、当代研究的时候，如何再去审视中国传统、过去传统的延续下来这些词汇
？Yeah, that's very interesting. Two points to that. So the reproductivity that I wanted to show through that hexagram is that in the I Ching, it kind of disrupts the usual connection, even in queer theory, right? Reproductivity is connected to sexual normativity. These two things are almost like synonym. Therefore, the animal has to kill the child, capitalized C, right? I was asking if there is a way of non-heteronormative reproductivity or a non-reproductive heteronormativity. To bring that a little bit to the context of the exhibition, the kind of ecological concern, heteronormativity is an immensely unecological endeavor. Just there, you can imagine that. So, I mean, I'm a product of that, right? The second point, in terms of vocabulary, there are very interesting words that now, especially in the Chinese-speaking words, Taiwan especially. For example, the idea of microphone, right? And the kind of male. It's a kind of male-to-male design, but it's sometimes written with the Nan of the South, so the southern wind. That's another kind of ecological vocabulary that one can go out of way. And it's full of puns. Of course, those Mingqi xiaoshuo is full of puns. On first glance, you wouldn't think they are talking anything about sex. And then you have to really, there's this scholarly what's his name? I found it fascinating. He wrote a book on these, like deciphering what is behind it's promiscuous and very fun.
那么首先回答您刚才的问题，就是一个非常有意思的问题，我想说两点。第一点就是关于生殖的 reproductivity。我们在易经当中其实看到了生殖就是打断了传统对于生殖的一些意识形态上的东西，比如说这个我们在库尔体当中，总是说在库尔体当中谈到生殖，就一定会是和异性恋制度主义联系在一起，好像两个是镜子可以互换一下。所以说这个 Adler 才说我们要 kill the child， 杀死小孩。然后同时呢，我也在我之前的这个著作当中有提到，关于这个异性恋正统主义和生殖之间的关系，我们有没有可能存在一个非异性恋正统主义的生殖，或者是非生殖性 的异性恋殖民主义，就是也不得而知了。然后呢，第二点就是关于这个词语，这个词文字游戏，比如说在中文当中有些个词，就是台湾有个词叫做南风，它其实就是指男男之间的激情，就是欲望。那有时候这个南风的南被写成了南边的南，就是方向的词南风。它就是有一个一语双关的意思，尤其是我们看到在明清小说当中有非常多的一语双关、暗语啊这种。有一个复旦的教授，我不记得他名字，但是他就写了一本书，专门来解密明清小说当中这种一语双关。他解密之后，你会发现很多明清小说各种淫乱，就是非常非常淫乱的一些内容。
Sorry. The other word is of course 同志. This is an invention from I think it's either from Hong Kong or from Taiwan. But 同志 is from that quotation. It's this the very so the shared will, right? 上下教养旗帜. I mean, there's no classical scholar like that. That's right.
另外还有一个词我想说是同志，然后它应该是台湾那边发明的一个词，就是现代化的含义。那我们可以看到同志其实来源于这句话里面，旗帜同业，就是有相同的这个志向。我相信很多这个古典学派的这个学者可能不太喜欢现代同志的这个含义。
Yeah, my question was slightly broader in the sense that what I think that one of your gestures is to try and interrogate this other possible cosmology that you find in this text. And I'm talking about ideas of parallel ideas of the body, health and body, health and stuff like that. I guess to transcend this Cartesian habitus embodiment, right? You are trying to think back ultimately.
Yeah, it's like two kind of direction. One is what you said, and we kind of different kind of accounts involvement. On the other hand, it's also to stare the so-called novel into its face. So stare at classics, not other forgotten meeting novels, but stare at foundational classics. And because classics being classics, it's just because they are open to interpretation. But it's a very dangerous thing to, I'm not going to say it's a dangerous thing that now there is certain kind of revival of certain tradition, right? It's be careful because classics can be read in all different ways. If one thing, if some guys think classics means indoctrination, then they are completely, how to say, wrong.
那么就是刚才问题就是说，您通过这样的一个演讲，传递出一种宇宙论，以及您谈到身体跟宇宙、我们健康跟宇宙之间的关系，以及不同化身之间的关系，您是想传达出怎样的一个信息？然后回答就是两个方向，第一个方向非常同意您刚才所说的不同的身体的这个象征，不同身体的化身，以及第二个，我是想通过这样的一个论点来直视真理、直视理论，尤其是直视执念经典的理论。那为什么有些理论它可以成为经典？就是因为它开放给所有的人，各种各样的方式来发现解读。有的时候这样的一个做法可能比较危险。但是就是也没有办法，我也不会就是开个例子啊，就是说如果有一些人觉得有一些经典理论它过于教条、过于刻板化，它解释出来的东西，有的时候这些人可能会反而觉得很委屈。
我说一下这个点，就我的意思是说，如果有些人觉得现在来重读经典，来重新用经典来教说大众 众是一个很可以使用的方法的话，我想对他们说这个非常危险，因为经典确实是非常开放的，它可以被读成各种各样的样子，比如说这个。
So, wrap it up, and then we open up the floor. When we were talking, you said that, I guess one of the things that we're doing here is exhibition, inviting more interrogating areas of natural natures. Do you like it? Do you go along with this? Do you see what's going on here? Any response to the exhibition?
那么最后我们做一下总结吧，因为我们的这个讲座是在我们整个大的这个系列的展下边的。想问一下这个你对我们这个展有怎样的感受？谢谢。
Yeah, so I do believe in some kind of unexpected affinity. That's the secular way to say it. Or mysterious kind of encounter. The cosmic double in which everyone is already inside. You just need to find the correct way to multiply. When I arrived here, I saw that cave, right? And then the Goldenrod. All these elements kind of resonate very much with the gist of the talk. I wish it were darker with warmth, but that's not a problem. And also darkness is not literal, right? It's from the word xuan, which is a family name. How do you pronounce it? Yeah. But so it's not a cosmic. It's not just a kind of visual blindness, but it's also epistemic blindness in the sense of epistemic unknowing or unknowability. In Christian tradition, one can find the apophatic theology with and so on and so forth.
首先呢，我也相信一个词叫做意想不到的永恒，但这其实是一个非常超然的说法，其实就是神秘的际遇、神秘的相遇。就是比如说我们在这里说的这个小黑屋，就是宇宙黑暗、宇宙小黑屋，它取决于你用怎样的一个理解。我刚刚来这里的时候看到一个比较大的这个cave 这个洞，以及看到这个 Goldenrod 的这个展。然后看到现场各种各样的这些元素，还有装置，我觉得跟我讲的这个主题的这个大纲非常的切合。我想提到这个玄这个字也是需要的人性，然后它其实是可以被翻成黑暗的、神秘的，它不仅仅只是指视觉上的看不见、视力的丧失，它也是指认知的黑暗，或者是认知层次上未知、认知的一种未知的能力。
你好，我想问，就是我很同意你说的 queer is the distinction anti-queer，然后我也同意现在的特别是媒体的 representation of queerness 也是一种 colonization。然后我想问你，如果说万物本质就是 queer 的，那 how does the role of decolonization come into play? How does decolonization possible in a cosmetic system that everything is already queer?
I would just use English to interpret, to translate the question. So my question, I agree with you a lot on the queer itself is anti-queer and a lot of media representation nowadays is highly polarized. So what if the nature of one who of 10,000 things is already queer? And how do you approach with a decolonization method? Or how do you achieve a decolonized causality in a cosmic which is already queer in everything?
you said cosmetic. You said cosmetic. That's fine. That's what it's the cosmetic way. So to put it in a very simple way, it's a question of storytelling. It's a question of how we dress up, how we use cosmetics, what story we want to tell using already existing exuberant beings that has the potential. Okay? It's not like they are already creating some kind of ready-made, directly consumable, okay? But it has to be reorganized. And this reorganization, of course, also we are speaking English, but this is already a sign of we are still continuing living under a colonial regime of epistemology and so on. And so decolonization is, in this sense, also means telling different stories, telling different or telling different interpretations of stories. One of my favorite Cuban writers, Sartui, has this marvelous sentence. He says, "Lo primero para hacer la revolución es ir bien vestida." To start a revolution, the first and most important thing to start a revolution is to go well dressed.
那么我非常开心，因为您提到的一个词叫 cosmetics， 就是我们谈到这个库尔，以及我谈到这个东西，它其实就是要我们如何来讲故事 storytelling， 也就是说 cosmetics 如何把自己化什么妆，讲什么样的故事。因为我们这个世界上已经有多彩的万物的存在了，但是它不是以库尔的方式、库尔的方式存在在那儿，我们可以拿来就用着。拿来就来消费，不是这样的一个模式，而是我们要重新组织，把它们组织成另外一种方式。比如说我们现在在讲英语，刚才讲者在讲英语，那这可能就是说明我们还是处在一个殖民化的宇宙论的体系下面。也就是说，去殖民化在这样的一个背景下，意味着我们用不同的方式来讲故事，把旧的故事用新的解读呈现出来。我非常喜欢一位古巴的作家说的这样的一句话，他说。我们要闹革命，第一件事要做什么呀？台湾漂不漂亮？闹革命。
So I'm glad you began, or you used the quote just now, because the thing that's missing to me from kind of broader analysis of the omnipresence of the queer is the insurrectionary rebelliousness of queerness. In fact, it seemed to me what you were arguing up until just now is that the presence, the always present queer is in fact such a structural phenomenon because the heteronormative has to, of course, imply its opposite. It has to imply some queer thing. To be normative, to claim normativity, it has to be claiming that against this other thing that we call that queer. But then it's such a structural phenomenon that it was leaving me as a historian and confused about, okay, this is the structure, right? This is the symbolic corner, the cosmic dark room, if you will. But the question that I had was, isn't queerness also deeply associated with rebellious insurrection? And as such, I mean, what I think is interesting about the idea of queerness as insurrectionists is that you don't know where the end. They're revolutionary utopian projects, but they never end up where they claim that they want to end up. And so that open-endedness also that you're interested in is also embedded in the notion of insurrection. And yet it seems to me that your analysis kind of closes off the possibility of a rebellion. And so also this question from the person who asked the question, like decolonization isn't just about telling stories, which it is also. It's also about fighting fights. It's also about insurrection. It's also
Thank you very much for bringing that up, and also giving me the chance to to clarify, to darken it further. So what I probably didn't make clear is that the queerness in this talk points to a conceptual framework, not the historical insertion of LGBTQ community. And also decolonization, just now I'm more thinking about kind of epistemic decolonization, not the fight on the street. No, nothing is closed down. However, weirdly, it might sound I'm anti the other way, I'm not. I'm actually thinking, whispering in the conceptual sense of queer is this thing that always refuse, but not in a kind of revolutionary, heroic way. It's the red dress revolution. That's not a revolution, like in Marxism. And I mean, he's Cuban for God's sake, right? He said that, as a critique of that badly dressed revolution, right? What is valuable in this underside, this unclaimable bit, is there's always some kind of indifference to things. Not this little indifference to historical insurgents and so on wouldn't change the course of history. But we need to acknowledge that, and sometimes that bit of indifference is what no, I can't say that. Let me rephrase it. The kind of so he was in the very early working was criticizing this idea of activism. It's a fundamental kind of epistemological, almost epistemological disdain for the bottom, for the passive, and that could be read into the particular historical moment as well. And queer theory has this potential to do that, but of course it's dangerous. Then we produce something like my law, however his name is my law. This Trump supporter now is also my law something is a great. Yeah.
那么我就概括一下刚才这个提问和发言啊，提问的人就说到了，就是说我们的讲者关于这个库尔的分析，就库尔是不存在的，它其实有点体现出了一个结构现象学，也就是说我们的正统主义、我们的规范主义，它需要有库尔的作为它的对立面，要不断的反对它，这样它才有一个这样的一个流通。那我们在历史学家有时候也会发现。这样的一种结构或这样的一种宇宙学上的次序，或者是宇宙必然小领悟，不管是什么样的说法，有的时候库尔是不是也具备着一些叛逆或者是一些历史复兴的意味在里边？那比如说库尔这样的东西的兴起，它的结果是什么？有的时候我把库尔如果它只为一个叛逆的革命，那有的时候革命没有结果，不了了之，可能是一场乌托邦式的革命。没有任何结果。那么对于库尔概念的认识，我们是否应当具有一个开放性的结果的这样一个概念？我们的提问者就说，我们的这个讲者似乎是关闭了这样的一种结论性，就是说库尔他是没有叛逆性的东西，把他的这样的一种结论性的东西关闭掉了。所以说我们讲者做一个澄清，他就说，就是在这个库尔理论当中。他所指的只是一个概念， 化的一个框架，而不是真的是指比如说 LGBTQ 的这样的一个复兴啊，或者是这运动的兴起。我们的讲者谈到的这个孤儿主义，只是说我们要对认知来进行去神化，不是说我们真的要上街去游行、去抗争等等。而且讲者他也没有说把这个孤儿的最后导向的结果给关闭掉了，它还是一个开放性的结果。听起来有点反这个 element， 其实并不是反 element， 只是讲者他对孤儿这个概念进行了一个概念化的这样一个框架。不是说我们一定要不断的去拒绝，不断的去抵抗，但是不是以革命的形式，不是以英雄主义的形式。刚才古巴那个作家说我们要打扮得很漂亮去讨革命，那你穿什么好看怎么闹革命？只是一种说法，和那些衣衫不整的闹革命相比而已。我们不是说真的去上街闹革命，只是这个问题的一个价值在于，如果我们不去正视它的话，它可能就会有一些冷漠产生。我们需要看到有时候历史的复兴，或者说过去的一些东西它再次抬头，它不一定能改变历史的方向。那这就是为什么我想提到的这个词冷漠，就是 the element 先远远的批判我们这个 activism， 就是活动主义。他批判活动主义。那么我觉得这其实是有一种对于认知学的一种蔑视，
Sorry, that was a bit too meandering. 是我那个你要这么大概说，就是因为这个行动主义这个 activism， 对这个行动主义的单方面的强调，其实可以说是在认识论上的对那个零的一个启示。零啊，就是做所谓的被动方面，这个在中文其实不存在，这个一零的这个关系是另外一个关系。我大概的意思就是说，这个在所有的历史运动里面，它总有那个力量，总有那么一个部分，它是庄子说安之若素，就是它是无所谓的，然后这个无所谓是作为孤儿理论的学者来说，我们是要去探讨它。但是当然这个是非常的危险的，因为在大是大非的时候，你还要去看待它的时候，它在概念上可能会有意思，但是在实际的这个历史进程当中，并不是一个太惨的事情。
Maybe we can take one more question and then, yeah, please go ahead.
So I want to queer. I like what you said about queer to queer. That's a fascinating conceptual concept. But what I want to ask is, if queer is normalized, such as the Instagram people, those like programs on what queer is, and the gay marriage legalization, and queer is basically normalized. And is queer still queer? And can queer be redefined? And something about the censorship in China, and how does that affect the queer study? Because I'm an artist at a sports art hotel, and I'm doing the queer art project, and something about the censorship, that something can be exhibited and something cannot. And can you say something about that?
我想先翻译这个问题呢，就是我非常同意你的观点，就是孤儿理论本身也是酷儿的这样一个非常有意思的理论。那我的问题就是想说，就是它能不能够被规范化？因为我们知道，在 Instagram 上有些人他一定要给孤儿找一个定义，或者现在同性恋婚姻合法化。其实我们也是在慢慢的让酷儿变得规范化。那酷儿它能不能够被规范化？那规范化之后的酷儿还是酷儿，以及我们能够重新定义酷儿。我们知道在中国有这个互联网审查制度，那这是不是也会影响到酷儿？因 因为我是一个艺术家，我之前也在做关于queer的这个艺术项目，我也是在想，由于有中国市场，有一些东西是可以被展示的，但是不能被展示的。那您能不能就谈一谈这方面的观点？
关于第二点，我来想一下。我先说第一点就是Instagram 也好，或者是which language should I use? Sorry, for the second point, the first point is the kind of Instagram queer or any kind of self-identification in theoretical terms cannot be done. So queer is not something one can claim. The moment you claim it, it's done. It's Lady Brackman was very honest that it's ignorance is like exotic fruit. Touch it, the bloom is done. Change ignorance for queer. Or the queer that can be queer is not a constant queer. Doubt that can be doubt is not a constant doubt. So conceptually, of course, whenever we talk about queer, we have to locate where we are talking about. We are talking about the political identity, subjectivity, which I'm not denying anybody to say I'm queer, right? I occasionally also use that for this community. Or we're talking about a theoretical concept that is debated with. I'm talking about the second. So I agree with what you said. Basically, these are not the buff noting gay marriage normative looking Instagram pictures are far from being queer, right? The second point is maybe I can share with you a story. Is a very interesting queer artist. See, I use the word queer artist in Beijing, Xi Yadie, the Siberian artist. He exhibited, so he does paper art, and they're extremely promiscuous, very. That's kind of exuberant, like the penis is connected with the flower, with the sky and the house and so on. But the style is kind of traditional paper cut from Shaanxi. It's exhibited in one of like a show in either Songyang or Qibei. Under the theme of queer art, or they probably call it something like LGBT art. And then the police came. The show has to be stopped, and they confiscated a lot of artworks. And they didn't even touch this one because for them it's folk art, it's paper art. They couldn't care less. They didn't even see what is going on. It was business sensitive. Yeah. So now they discovered.
At the same time, it's also showing Beijing and all art. So it's, in terms of censorship, it's super erratic. There's not like one cut.
So censorship is super. We never know why something gets censored and why something not. Like this thing has been censored. Yeah. It's self-censored.
Use of the word gay, the Latin publication of the is that something that's censored online. Can you use it? I think this is a very privileged space that would be for free. But in general, do you think it's possible for you to talk about those stuff publicly?
There is always a way out. There is always clever ways. Queer culture has always been a very fertile ground for inventing puns. You put like a starting wing, no, like if they want to censor everything, they have to censor language. And And Chinese is very good for that. It's homophone. You do all kinds of things you want, right? I think that attention to censorship it is an interesting topic to discuss, but I don't think it has determined anything yet. What I mean is, since it is like that, I don't have a remedy of, I don't have a black and white answer to yes, it's not possible, no, it's not possible. Because the sheer fact that people are still having sex, there's queer people everywhere, there's all kinds of ways of dealing with that. I'm more interested to look at those strategies. Last thing, a friend shared with me. I think this was in Hubei. Some sex workers who would hide their genitals and pretend to be women, and they call Jiabi, right, to compete with the Zheng Bo prostitute. And sometimes they just they can just deceive the client and affect their work. And then there was this case that it was the kind of their vocabulary, the 调包, it was 调包, and it was discovered. And then the client, the guy was like, didn't you see the? Didn't you say你不是说你是女的吗? And the sex worker said, no, 我说我是女的. This is not possible.
然后我就简要总结一下，刚才是问答的环节，那么就是回答，就是说在 Instagram 上我们看到非常多自己说自己是 queer 是酷儿的人，那在理论上是自我酷儿的认同是不可能实现的，你称你自己是酷儿的那一刻，你就不再是酷儿。所以说也就是比如说酷儿，当他觉得自己是酷儿的时候，他其实不再是酷儿。那我其实谈的东西只是在谈一个理论上的概念，在谈酷儿，不是在谈一些比如说政治酷儿或者是政治酷儿的一些所说的东西。然后就是回答第一个问题，然后又有人在问说，那么因为现在你会不会在网上公然的讨论，比如说同性恋或者是这样的一些词，你需不需要去担心互联网审查制度对于酷儿对相关的内容的一个禁止？然后回答是说，我想跟大家分享一个故事，就是有一个酷儿艺术家在北京西雅图，他是做一个传统剪纸艺术家，但他剪的东西非常淫乱，比如说男性的阴茎连着一朵花连到房子连到天上去等等。就这样的一个风格，他在北京办了一个展，但是呢，他的这个主题就叫做酷儿艺术，还是 LGBT 艺术之类的，然后警察就把他的这个展封了，然后把他们一没收，都看一眼，看他到底剪的是什么东西。就是关于这个中国的审查制度，讲者的看法就是我们总能找到一些比较聪明的方式来表达我们的论点。而且酷儿文化本身它也可以是非常一语双关性的，比如说你要用南风来指我们所谓的同志啊这些东西，没有人会知道，除非如果你什么都要禁止，你可能就得禁止语言本身了。我们不用太过担心所谓的审查制度，因为现在审查制度还没有成为一个非常起到决定性因素的东西。就我的意思就是说，我没有办法提供解决方案，我没有办法回答这样可以或这样不行。但是我只是想要说，我们还是得有性生活。我们社会上有非常多酷儿特质的人群存在。我有一个朋友在跟我分享这样一个故事，所以我分享给大家。他们在东北有一些性工作者，其实是男的，但是把自己的活给藏起来，就是假逼，去冒充真逼，然后来从事性工作。有的时候他们真的能见过那些人。然后有这样的一个故事，就是说本来是个女的，后来她被调包成一个男的，然后 后我去工作时候就被人发现了，然后别人就质问他说：“你不是说你是女的吗？”然后这个人他回答说：“我没有说我是女的，我说我是一体。”就是这样的一个。
And this note.
Thank Athena so much for her depth, that